Way, having its yearly MOT. Of course, we do all our own fixtures and fittings and mechanical work here in York. We have our own maintenance team, and his name is Neil. Of course, alongside the boatyard, we have York's Guildhall over to the left. This is the 15th century Guildhall, and it would remain in use until 1942, until it would be damaged by the bi-decker bombing raids of the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, who would miss their original target, hitting the Guildhall with 7 incendiary bombs. And if you look to the lower windows as we pass by, you can still see evidence of scorch marks left behind from where the fires burned. You may also see our maintenance team here of Neil and Chris. Let's all give them a wave. Of course, the Guildhall did go on to have an extensive rebuild and would reopen in the 1960s, now housing the York Council Chambers. But of course, also from the 60s, just ahead and to the right, here we have the Radisson Inn Hotel, the second tallest building here in the city of York, originally known as the Viking Hotel, as Viking artefacts would be found upon the site during its construction. Now, the hotel would sit upon the line of what was known as the Dublin Stones, which back in Viking and Saxon times was the only way of crossing the river here from bank to bank, and they would gain their name as they lay on the Viking trade route between England and Ireland. But believe it or not, folks, the most amazing thing about the hotel over on the right hand bank is that now this is because the bridge was built in 2 halves. It will be built alongside the previous bridge to ensure that a trade route would remain in and through the city of York at all times. If they'd have simply just knocked down the bridge before building a new one, it would have effectively cut the county of North Yorkshire in half. But as you can see, we're coming back into familiar territory as we arrive back at Kingston, where you all joined us earlier. Of course, we have Kingston to the left and Queenston to the right. Now, back in the 17th century, this area here would have been a waterways area vessel, spanning all the way across the river, loading and unloading their wares here in the city. Now, of course, if bleed used to last once, the vessels that was across the river back here, but it was said you could actually make it across from bank to bank without ever getting your feet wet, simply by stepping across from port to port, as at the time York was the second busiest inland port, eclipsed only by that of London. So, as we continue on our tour, folks, I have a question to ask of those of you on board. Do we have any cat lovers with us here today? Any cat lovers on board? Well, if so, let me draw your attention ahead and to the left as we pass the houses of South Esplanade. Stare up to the window and see if you can spot 4 cats hidden away on the windowsills there. There are 2 black cats and 2 grey cats, and of course, if you are a big cat lover, don't worry, this is the bizarre form of animal cruelty. These aren't still cats trying to prove what history is, although the cats really do have dark lives. The cats on display here on the buildings are in fact made of stone, placed here by the local architect Tom Allen as part of his architectural signature. Now this will follow an old tradition of placing stone cats on buildings as it's believed in the left hand bank, where as we pass this bridge for the interview, you'll see a large open car park, this area being known as St George's Fields. Now, St George's Fields has been the home and host of many a fair and fete over the years. In fact, it's been hosting fairs and fetes for well over 500 years and still does so to this day. But this large piece of common land over to the left is also said to have been the birthplace of York as we know it. Back in 71 AD, when the Romans arrived here in the city, they decided this area would be perfect to build a legionary fortress and to start their settlement. They were left off trivial crimes of being a barmaid who was bought certain short measures, a brewer of bad beer, or a baker of bad bread. It was even believed, controversially I might add, you could actually gain a shorter ride on the ducking stool for simply being a nasty wife. Now, obviously, there was a more sinister use as the ducking stool would have been used as a test for witchcraft. If suspected of witchcraft, he would have been strapped onto the ducking stool before being submerged under the icy waters for up to 4 minutes. If when brought back to the surface of course you were found to be no longer breathing, if you had succumbed to the water and drowned, well clearly it was said that you were innocent and all charges would be dropped. You would have been given a humble apology, as well as it being very unpaid for by the city. Mind you folks, if by some minor miracle you did manage to make it back to the surface and were still found to be breathing of course, coughing and spitting up the rancid river water, well clearly it was said you were using the dark art to sustain your life under the water, so you would therefore have been branded a witch. You would have been afforded a short period of time to dry up on the riverbank. This was presumably prior to you being burnt to the stake before, so we all just like to be looking for a bit of a white tail. Folks, of course, as we have spun the boat around, we are going to head back. As you can see, we're going for a countdown and review, which of course just starts to me. I do wish they would have kept them on board, as it would have been great for clearing out the rowers, self-drives and private hire vessels, for getting our way during the busy summer months. But of course, part of everything in life, and it's in Morgan Street did eventually make it to reading a short trip under slightly different circumstances as a recent. So folks, that brings us back to Skeldergate Bridge, just up ahead. The bridge we passed earlier, the second Captain Bridge over the river in the city, also designed by Thomas Blade. Now the bridge would take us then from the street ahead and to the left. This street being Skeldergate coming from the northward of Skeldergata, meaning the street of the Shieldmaker. No shieldmakers left in the city at all any longer, but as you can see there are a couple of the shields on display on the bridge. Looking to the left, you can see the Doctor of St. George, the flagpole line, giving us the crest of the city of York. So looking to the right, we've got the cross keys of St. Peter and the Archbishop's Crown. This is of course giving us the crest of the See of York. This is also commonly referred to as the crest of York. So of course folks, it is on that note that we make our way back into the old medieval city and we'll shortly be arriving back at our drop-off point at instead. So just give me a moment or two to say thank you for staying with us. We do hope you've enjoyed the time out on the river. On a personal note, I hope you've enjoyed the commentary on the subject fun as well as the informative. Of course, if you have enjoyed today's tour, the commentary, the news efforts, if you'd like to show your appreciation, this can of course be done in a number of ways. And one of these may be by choosing to leave us a review on a popular travel site, such as TripAdvisor. Of course, if you'd like to leave a review, and that will be a positive review, please let me thank you in advance. And I'll just remind you, my name is Andy. Now, of course, this does work both ways, folks. So if for some reason you haven't enjoyed the tour, please don't put off from leaving us a negative review. But if you'd like to leave a negative review for today's tour, I'll remind you one final time, my name is Dave. So Andy, if you enjoyed it, please to remember. Now, of course, that is a little unfair, as Dave was in fact a former skipper who worked with Dublin for a number of years before the Olympic strikes. He was very popular on the river, always known to say the best skippers would be known by who got the best tips. If that be the standard, and I don't want to brag here folks, but clearly that must mean I must be a pretty good skipper. We do get some very good tips from time to time. In fact, just the other week, the young lady said to me, if you don't want where you're going, you're going to hit that bridge, which I thought was a rather good tip to take on board. Of course, I do get others on occasion, usually things like how about maybe driving in a straight line every now and again. Or what about putting a decent joke in the commentary for once? Well, I'm not quite sure this was the same thing that Earth had in mind, but hey-ho, which I thought we can get in this life. Now, one final thing I will say about Dave, strangely enough, even though he has left the company, he did so